Sleepytime Adventures. 4 whimsical stories. Hi, I'm here with some Sleepytime Adventures for you. Curl up under your blankets and get ready for 4 whimsical stories that will take you to magical lands filled with talking animals, enchanted forests, and maybe even a dragon or two. So turn off your lights and let your imagination run wild. In the first story, we meet a young girl named Lily, who lives in a little cottage on the edge of a whispering wood. Now this wasn't just any ordinary wood. Oh no, this was the Whispering Wood. And it lived up to its name. Every leaf, every twig, and every tree had something to say. They gossiped about the birds in the morning, complained about the rain in the afternoon, and sighed contentedly in the evening breeze. And, since Lily spent most of her time outside, she listened to their chatter. She became friends with the trees and learned all their secrets. She knew when they were thirsty and would bring them water from the nearby stream. She knew when they were feeling chilly and would gather leaves and branches to make cozy little nests for birds to snuggle in, and she knew when they were lonely and would tell them stories and sing them songs until their leaves rustled with joy. One day, however, the trees in the Whispering Wood fell silent. Lily was so worried. She wandered into the forest, calling out to her leafy friends, but only silence answered her. Then she saw it. The usually gushing waterfall had dried up. Without water, the trees were wilting and their leaves were drooping. Determined to help, Lily walked to the village, climbed onto the roof of the tallest building, and shouted to the people below, "The waterfall has dried up. If we don't do something, the Whispering Wood will die." Hearing this, the villagers got into their boats and set sail across the lake to see what they could do. But by the time they reached the waterfall, it was too late. All the trees had lost their leaves and their branches hung heavy with sadness. The villagers felt terrible and promised to fix it. So they brought buckets and barrels and began collecting water from the lake. But it was slow and hard work. And there still wasn't enough water to revive the thirsty trees. Just when everyone had lost hope, a wise old woman stepped forward. She told the villagers that the waterfall had dried up, because the water sprite had been taken away by an evil wizard. The sprite was a tiny yet powerful creature who lived at the heart of the waterfall and used her magic to keep it flowing. Without her, the waterfall had become a lifeless trickle. The villagers wanted to save the sprite, but no one knew where to find her. "Don't worry," said Lily. "I know where the evil wizard lives." Sure enough, she led the villagers through the dry leaves and brambles to a clearing where a crooked hut stood. Peeking inside, they saw the water sprite trapped in a cage made of ice. The wizard was nowhere to be seen. But Lily had an idea. She asked the villagers to make a big circle around the hut, each holding a bucket of water. Then she climbed onto a rock and sang a beautiful song that she'd learned from the trees. Her voice echoed through the clearing, reaching deep into the icy cage. As the last note rang out, the ice shattered and the water sprite flew into Lily's outstretched hands. She was so grateful to be free. In return, she gave Lily a tiny acorn and told her to plant it near the dried-up waterfall. Then with a wave of her magic wand, she made the waterfall gush back to life. The trees in the Whispering Wood were so happy. Their leaves rustled with joy and they whispered their thanks to Lily as she walked home. The next day, the villagers came to see if the acorn had sprouted. It had not only sprouted, but it had grown into a beautiful oak tree with sparkling green leaves. From that day on, the villagers and Lily took care of the Whispering Wood together. And whenever they felt sad or lonely, they could always talk to the trees and share their feelings. After all, trees are great listeners and they never, ever gossip. In our next story, we meet Ferdinand the frog, who spends his days lounging on lily pads and catching juicy flies. One day while basking in the sun, Ferdinand hears a loud crash and sees a small blue bird lying on the ground with a broken wing. Without hesitation, Ferdinand hops over, extends his long sticky tongue and helps the bird fly. Up into the air, he carries her to a safe nest in a nearby tree. "Thank you for saving me," says the bird. "It's the least I can do," says Ferdinand. "After all, you were stuck and I couldn't just leave you there." The bird tells Ferdinand that she's on a mission to collect colorful feathers from all over the forest to make a special gift for her mother. But with her wing injured, she can't fly very well. "Why don't you let me carry you?" asks Ferdinand. And so Ferdinand sets off on an exciting journey through the Whispering Woods. He hops over streams and under logs, dodging grumpy beetles and curious squirrels. Along the way, they meet a family of deer who are so graceful and elegant that Ferdinand wishes he could leap like them. He and the bird continue on, meeting a wise old owl who tells them a scary story about a big bad fox who lives in these woods. Ferdinand puffs out his throat and growls, pretending to be ferocious. But the bird giggles, pointing out that Ferdinand is more funny than scary. Soon they arrive at a clearing where a majestic white feather shimmers on the ground. Ferdinand carefully picks it up and places it in the bird's nest. Then they head home. On the way, they hear the sound of singing and drums and come across a group of rabbits having a party. Ferdinand wants to join in the fun, but the bird reminds him that they have to hurry if she is going to make her gift in time. So they say goodbye and continue on. Finally, they reach the bird's house, and she flutters down from Ferdinand's back and hops onto a branch to peck him goodbye. Ferdinand feels a bit lonely now, but he's also very proud of himself for helping the bird and making her mother happy. As he turns to go home, he sees the colorful feathers the bird had collected. And in that moment, Ferdinand realizes that friendship isn't about how long you spend together, but about the love and kindness you share. Ferdinand hopped back to his pond, feeling like a brand new frog. He had a wonderful story to tell the other frogs and a heart full of happiness. In our next story, we meet Benny the bear, who wakes up one morning to find that he can't remember anything. He doesn't know where he's from, who his family is, or even what his favorite food is. Confused and scared, Benny wanders into the forest, hoping to find someone who can help him remember. As he walks along, he meets a squirrel who tells him that he's acting very strangely, a rabbit who thinks he might be a little crazy, and a mouse who warns him to stay away from the big bad fox. But none of them can help him with his memory loss. Just when Benny is about to give up hope, he sees a clearing bathed in sunlight. In the middle of the clearing stands a wise old tree with leaves that shimmer like gold. As Benny approaches the tree, he hears a gentle voice saying, "Why are you so sad, little bear?" Startled, Benny looks around, but doesn't see anyone. "Over here," says the voice. And Benny notices that the tree is actually talking to him. The tree tells Benny that she is the memory keeper, and that she might be able to help him remember who he is. But first, she needs him to complete 3 tasks. First, she asks him to find a feather from a singing bird. Second, she asks him to bring her some sparkling water from a nearby lake. And third, she asks him to bring her a shiny stone from a faraway river. Although Benny is unsure if he can do any of these things, he agrees to try. With the memory keeper's help, Benny successfully completes his tasks and returns to the clearing. The memory keeper tells him that his final task is to climb to the top of her branches and look inside her hollow. Benny climbs as high as he can, but when he looks inside the hollow, he sees nothing but darkness. And don't forget to hit the like button before you go. Sweet dreams, little ones. Sleep tight and may your adventures always be filled with magic and wonder.